Hi, I'm Sarah,
And I'm Tess.
and this is the Basically Bookish podcast.
It's currently December, and we're about to say goodbye to 2025. So we thought it would be a good time to sit down together on our living room floors in classic YouTube fashion, apparently, and discuss everything that we've read this year. And we're talking favorites, flops, and everything in between.
Now, we aren't speed readers and we aren't full-time content creators, so don't expect a 200 plus book list. We're just two girls who love to read and talk about books, and we hope to talk about books with you too. This episode will also be spoiler free, unless something comes up spontaneously, but we'll give you a warning.
We'd love to have you as part of our digital book club. You can find us on all social media platforms under Basically Bookish Pod, and subscribe on YouTube or Spotify under the same name.
Okay, let's get into it.
So we'll be giving a star rating for each book that we cover, and just to give you guys an idea of our rating system, it's as follows. So our rating system is mostly based on vibes, and it's also subject to change. So if we rated something one way in another episode, that was then, and this is how we feel now, and that might change again later. We are only human.
Yes, and we also tend to rate high. For some people, a 2.5 is a medium score because that's the halfway point, so that makes sense. But for us, a 2.5 feels really harsh and low. Think of our 3 stars as average run-of-the-mill. I enjoyed this rating.
And we broke up our reading wrap-up by month, so let's start with February.
I actually read a book in January.
Awesome. Let's start with January. I can't remember.
Yeah, in January, I finished up A Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wastelands by Sarah Brooks. And to give you a little synopsis, it takes place at the end of the 19th century aboard the Great Trans-Siberian Express, a train that travels through the wastelands, a mysterious and dangerous terrain between Beijing and Moscow. The story follows characters like a grieving widow, a disgraced naturalist, a girl born on the train, her name's Wei Wei, and a stowaway, Elena, as they navigate the train's mysteries, a past disaster, and the changing rules of the magical world outside, blending elements of steampunk, mystery, and adventure. I really liked the book. It was unexpected. I've heard people compare it to The Midnight Library, which I haven't read. And so I gave this book a 4 because I liked it. I thought it was really unexpected, but it's probably higher than most people would rate it.
Does all of the action take place on the train?
Yes.
Okay.
A little bit, yeah, most of it.
Have you seen the show Snowpiercer before?
Yes, it also
That's kind
reminded
of-
me of Snowpiercer. Yeah.
Okay, that's the vibe I was getting immediately.
Yeah,
That sounds
there's-
so fun.
There's a lot of magic that happens.
Okay. And did you mention your star rating, like your personal, what you would rate?
Yeah, I gave it a 4, and so I probably rated it higher than most people would because I had seen the comparison between Midnight Library, and a lot of people preferred Midnight Library.
Gotcha. Okay, interesting. Yeah, I don't think I finished a book in January, so that's why I don't have anything written down, because I think I was just like starting things up. Was there anything else that you finished reading in January that you wanted to touch on?
Nope, I have one in February though.
Okay, yeah, so February is when we both finished Onyx Storm. And we actually do have a full-length episode on Onyx Storm. If you're interested in that, we'll link it in the description so you can watch that after you're done with this video. But what did you think about Onyx Storm, Sarah?
You know, I'm fully invested in the storyline. It's helped me get back into reading, and so I felt compelled to continue the series. The book for me, it felt rushed and discombobulated with a few of what I felt were holes in the plot that we discuss in our episode. I had high anticipation for this book, and I feel like it let me down, but it might be due to my very high expectations and just, voracious nature for wanting to know more of what's going on in the world of Bezgaya.
Right, I feel the same way. I think that I still have it out of 3 stars, so just kind of an average. I enjoyed it. This one was one of the lower points in our reading year for me. Felt for me like a filler book. It felt like there were more questions than answers. There's a lot of conflict resolution that happened way too quickly. Like I'm talking about within a paragraph or even a page or two, major conflicts are resolved. And so it takes away the stakes.
Right, exactly, yeah.
And you're like,
Yeah.
what?
Right.
Like you were saying, I felt like there was not enough plot progression. But like you said, I will also be continuing the series because I do want to know how it ends and how all of these loose ends are wrapped up.
Right. Gave it a 3.2 just because I really enjoyed that Rebecca Yarros is putting out those books so fast. And so I want to encourage that because I really love the material that she's coming out with, but I do feel like it came out a little too fast.
If you had to decide, like getting a book a year from your favorite authors, but some of them might feel that way, or giving your favorite authors as much time as they need. I know you're an R.R. Martin reader, so you're probably like a little traumatized by that thought, but
A book a year is so fast, is what I was thinking as you were saying this. And then I was like, but not as much time as they want. That's
right.
not the answer. Yeah, but I think somewhere between 1 year and forever would be the best.
Should we move on to March?
Yeah, actually, I read Lady Macbeth in February, and I'll tell you a little bit about it. Publishers Weekly called it a masterful reimagining of Lady Macbeth, Shakespeare's most famous villainess, giving her a voice, a past, and a power that transformed the story men have written for her. In my words, it was just a story about a powerful witch who marries a Scottish wizard warrior. And they both go into a court where everything is hostile and everyone is an enemy. And together they grow their magic and it sort of upends their world.
Wow, that sounds really interesting too. What was the name of
Yeah.
that one?
That's Lady Macbeth by Ava Reed.
Okay,
And I gave that one a 4 as well.
awesome.
I liked the story. It was perfect for the moment I was in. I enjoyed learning about the magical system and the lady's powers. She's this mystical woman. I feel like this is what I wanted from, I don't know if you've ever heard of the character Lady Grey from A Song of Ice and Fire by George R. R. Martin that you just mentioned, but that was kind of the depth that I was looking for in that character. And we just don't get that in the series. And I feel like Lady Macbeth scratched that itch for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it was great. On to March.
Yes. So in March, I read The Cruel Prince, and I ended up reading that entire series. So, The Cruel Prince, The Queen of Nothing, Wicked King, and How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. I'm going to kind of rate the series as a whole, and for me, I gave it 4 stars. I thought it was really fun and cute. It was pretty fast paced. It's a YA series, so there's no spice at all, which I thought was totally fine. I thought that the world building was really seamless. There was a classic fairy feel to where the fairies didn't behave like humans in pretty much any way, which I really enjoyed. And I really liked the political scheming and maneuvering, and there's definitely elements of a bully romance in there as well. So overall, I found that series to be super fun, super refreshing, and I just ate it up, honestly.
Yeah, I really liked the cozy motif we talked about in there. And then Jude's critical eye for politics was new for me and refreshing and just surprising. And so I
Right.
really liked it. And I also rated that a 4.
Nice. Yeah. So 4 stars.
Yeah. In April, we read People We Meet on Vacation. And I thought that was another book that was perfect for the time. It's about best friends Poppy and Alex, who are polar opposites, who take an annual summer trip but haven't spoken in 2 years due to a disastrous trip that they had taken in the past. And you sort of inch towards that disastrous trip the entire book, and you're trying to figure out the entire time what happened between them that caused this rift. And I thought it kept me sort of on the edge of my blow up seat, my blow up, what am I thinking of? Floaty, my blow up floaty.
Absolutely. Yeah, so I gave this one 4 stars as well. I wrote that it was fun and refreshing, especially after so much fantasy and romantasy. There's definitely a grumpy sunshine dynamic, which I found to be really sweet and endearing. There is also this surprisingly complex mother and daughter relationship and issues that played out that I didn't really see coming, but I really enjoyed and felt like I took something away from there. I also really enjoyed the writing style. I loved the floral descriptions of the places, the temperatures, just being so submerged in every different landscape that they took us to. It was really nice.
Yeah, it was so like warm and just you bathed in it everywhere.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I'm so excited. We're planning on having a little watch party for that. So keep your eyes out for that if you want to just
Yes.
kind of hang out on the couch with us and watch a movie.
That's going to be fun. Yes. And I also gave People We Meet on Vacation a 4. So we're twinsies there too. And then April and May, we were talking about it yesterday, and April and May were Manacled, which I believe I gave a 4.5 at that time.
Yes. Manacled is kind of an S tier book for me. I think it's like one of
Yes.
those life changing. I've never really contemplated the world in such a way before. And so I'm definitely a Manacled girly. I can't believe that I forgot that we read that this year. When I comprised this list, I just went through my Goodreads, and so I just pulled everything off of there. Obviously, Manacled is not going to be on Goodreads. So, yes, but I loved that book. It's very dark. You definitely need to check your trigger warnings. I know it's definitely not for everybody, and it's definitely not for everybody at different times in their lives, I would say. But that one was definitely for me, and if you're a manacle girly, you know.
Yes. And it was also our first fan fiction. It was our first time like peeking in that genre. And I think that we've just thrown the door wide open. So if you have any suggestions for fan fiction, we would love to read it. And I think we understand the culture a little bit better too, which has been great to learn.
Absolutely. And then May, it looks like that takes us to Great Big Beautiful Life. And I think that this is one of the books that we kind of diverted a little bit from each other on.
Right. Yeah. Because for me, this was my lowest rating of the year. I gave this one a
Oh,
3.
okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe I
Yeah, I
thought
thought you liked it a
differently
little bit
about
more
it.
than I did.
Yeah,
Sorry.
I think I've let it like settle a little bit more. And yeah, I had a synopsis for it, but I don't have it anymore. But we don't need to give a synopsis because we have an episode on that as well. Yeah, so you can check out our episode on Great Big Beautiful Life if you'd like a more detailed look at that. But I think for me, in the end, my honest review of it is that I was bored by the reused trope. I think at first I was surprised to see the trope written so explicitly and used in such a reveal pattern. By the end of it, I was bored by how the characters were portrayed. And I was also a bit angry that I let it upset me so much at the time. But alas, these books are so personal, and this is what we love about them. So I love a book that challenges me. And so maybe that was why I gave it a higher rating. I think it's sort of soured with me a little bit, but I appreciate what the book had to offer.
Yeah, so this was one of my lower ratings as well. I gave it a 2.5 stars. I wrote it was a snooze fest. There was too much exposition. This was my second M hen, and it was also my second Grumpy Sunshine dynamic in an M hen. And I think that those back to back was kind of like, oh, okay, is this what we do in everyone, or are we gonna meet new characters? I also wrote, but maybe that's just what she does and what I should expect. And if I'm in the mood for that, then that's what I go to.
Right.
But there were definite manic pixie dream girl vibes. And again, I did enjoy how she describes specific moments and places. And there were also some fun moments. And I did enjoy the meet cute that the two characters had together. And I liked the small town vibes. But that was kind of womp womp for me.
Yeah, we'd have
And
to read
it's
a third one to like know if that is really the recipe that the author uses, but it did feel familiar.
right. If you're a big M. Hen or Emily Henry reader and you know the perfect book for us to read as our third exposure to this author, please let us know because we'd love to hear from you. Also, about this book, it always strikes me. I've seen it now physically twice. And every time I see it, I'm just like, I can't believe how large it is. Sarah and I recently took a trip to a local bookstore here in town. It's Christmas, and we decided as a little gift to ourselves and each other, we would both go to the bookstore together, spend some time together, and then buy each other a book and do a little book exchange. And that was really sweet and fun. But every time I pick up Great Big Beautiful Life, I'm always amazed at how thick it is.
Right. It was very much like a carrot dangling for me. I was like, what is it? Like the whole time I'm like, there's something going on. What is it? And I'm just searching the book. And by the time you get to the end, you realize you've read like 300 pages, or I'm not even sure, more than that for that
I
book.
feel like it has to be more.
Yeah.
But I don't
Yeah.
know. Yeah, every book is as thin as my Kindle, so I'm always just shocked when I see like what do you mean?
This is a real problem actually, because you might sit there and be reading Kingdom of Ash or Alchemized, and you're
But
just
it's
like,
only
this
this
is,
big. Like
yeah,
I can do that.
yeah. Just flip
Yeah.
that open real quick, finish it in a week.
Right, exactly. All right. So is that everything for May?
That's everything for me.
Do you want to start with June? I feel like we kind of split off here.
Yes, we did, because I did not read the books that you read. The book that I read in June was Kingdom of Ash by Sarah J. Maas. And for me, this is the book, everyone. This is the book. This is the big book here. This is an S tier book for me. It was the final book in Sarah J. Maas's Throne of Glass series. It concludes the epic fantasy of that main character and all of the not lesser characters, other main characters. It's just the whole fam bam is there. All your friends are just waiting for you. And I love that book so much. It's wonderful. I actually could open it up at any point and just be reading it. It was my favorite book of the year.
Yeah. I loved Kingdom of Ash as well. That's definitely an S tier book for me as well. S tier series.
Yes.
Big mass heads over here.
Big ones.
So in June, I read Spark of the Everflame, Glow of the Everflame, and at the time that we were recording this, I finished reading Heat of the Everflame. So this is another one that I'm going to go ahead and review as a series. even though the series is not finished yet. So I gave this one a 3.5/4 stars, and I really enjoyed it. It was a fun romantasy read, and you kind of get what you'd expect when you're reading a romantasy. Some critique that I had was that I do feel like the author feels like we're a little bit dumb. And there were so many instances where something would happen and it would be like, shit. And then she would explain it over and over to make sure we got it. And so, without giving like major spoilers, like I've got an example. There's a character that the main character has grown close to over 2 or so books. And then there's an incident where that other character may or may not die. And then we get paragraphs and paragraphs about how this is such a bad thing that happened because they have this close relationship and they've been a lifeline to our main character, and on and on and on. And it's like, girl, we get it. We were there. So, and it also just happened again and again. And so I don't know what that says. If that, maybe it's intentionally written that way to kind of get people into reading and using like kind of critical thinking skills, but it just felt like just like hammering over my head with certain topics in a way
Right.
that I really didn't appreciate. I will also say that the moment Alchemize dropped, I dropped the third book so fast and I didn't look back until I was done.
Right.
And then when I picked it back up again, I kind of scoffed at it for a chapter or two, but then I was just back into it and having fun again. So I don't really know what that says. And if you've read this series, let us know what you think of it so far.
Yeah. Okay. So I think we're on to July.
Yes. Yes.
With One Dark Window was the first one for July, and that is by Rachel Gillig. It's a gothic fantasy romance about Elspeth Spendle, who hides an ancient, powerful. Well, let's not talk about that. Let's say it's a gothic fantasy romance about Elspeth Spendle, and it's connected to a very unique magical system, which is centered around Providence cards, which I thought this was one of my more favorite books of the year. I think that the magic system is so unique and was really fun.
Yes. Yeah, definitely one of my favorites of the year as well. One Dark Window by Rachel Gillig. I gave it 5 stars. My notes say that it was a unique magic system, immaculate, misty, gothic vibes. It's really, really perfect for like fall, winter time. It's got like super creepy lore, a likable protagonist and company. There was yearning, stolen glances, fake dating, and a slow burn romance that was absolutely delicious.
I loved it. There's also a mystery aspect to it as you go through, and you're just guessing the entire time. So, we do have an episode on One Dark Window if you want to learn more about it, where we go into all the details, and it was really fun.
It was so much fun. And we will at some point get around to doing our Two Twisted Crowns recap because One Dark Window is the first book in a duology, which I think takes us to August, unless you have anything else to add to July.
No, yeah, I gave both these books 5 stars. Maybe Two Twisted Crowns just a little bit less than One Dark Window because One Dark Window really pulled me in.
Yes, I'm the same way. So in August, we both read Two Twisted Crowns. For me, I gave this one a 4.5 versus the 5 stars. My notes say that it was dark and gothic like the first. It was a very satisfying ending, I thought, for the duology. And there was like this strange, interesting lore and characters. But for me, it lost 0.5 stars because I felt that some of the characters started feeling really young in a way that they were taunting each other and it didn't feel super accurate to their original characters, which just kind of took me out a little bit, even though it was kind of funny.
Right. I gave it a 4.7 for probably we're talking about the same reason. I felt like I wanted there to be a larger scale reason behind what they were doing. And it was kind of being fed to us by one certain character the entire way. And I just would have liked to know a little bit more around that character instead of that character having to hand feed us everything.
Right. Yeah, I agree.
Mhm.
Okay. September, another really fun reading month.
Yes. That for us was We Used to Live Here, which I gave a 4. I really liked that book. Horror is a little bit. There were parts you'll see, we have an episode on this as well. There were parts that I closed my eyes and just ran through this horror house. It was really fun, and I really want to read more from the author.
Yes, and the author's name is Marcus Clywer. I gave this one 5 stars. I thought it was really fun. It had me on the edge of my seat. I was scared at times, confused, panicked. I didn't know what was real anymore. I had to touch some grass. I had a great time with it. I thought it was so much fun. Obviously, it was very scary and at times kind of hard to turn the page because you're like, I just want it to be over. I just want this to end. I can't be here anymore.
Yeah.
But I thought it was so fun. And also doing our deep dive, I thought that that was really fun. That's the first time that Sarah and I have read a book at the same time and then released episodes covering a specific section of chapters. That's not true because we have Throne of Glass. Let me not say that. That's the first time we've completed a series
I
like
like how you
that.
lean forward. You're like, that is not true. That is not true.
I'm going to leave that in actually. But it's like the first time we've completed a project like that. And I thought it was really fun. I also thought it was fun to dig into the Reddit theories and everything like that. There's so much that you miss on the first read through that people have like picked apart. And like you're saying, I can't wait to continue reading and seeing exactly what's happening in this very bizarre world that Marcus Clywer has created.
Yes, and I think you've also found a new love in horror books.
Yeah, growing up as a teenager, there's definitely been a couple that I've read that I've really enjoyed, but it's not usually the genre that I like reach for. But if there's something that every now and then. And like, I don't, obviously, like, I really liked Alchemize. Like, a little bit of body horror isn't gonna, dissuade me from a book.
Right. And that brings us to Alchemized.
I'll let you go
Yes.
first.
Yeah. So Alchemized, I gave Alchemized a 4.5. I loved seeing Senlin Yu's direction and the depth of her knowledge be put into this book. She took such care with the book, and you can tell that she cares so heavily about her readers and her characters. And I think that this book will sit with me a long time.
Yeah.
It wasn't a 5-star read for me only because of the darkness aspect of it. It just threatened to suck me in certain parts. And I think the sucking, I was just, again, I'm running through, it has that horror aspect again to it.
Definitely lots of horrific things happen in that book for sure. So, this is going to be the first one that I'm aware that I'm changing my rating. We do have an Alchemized review. We also ended up going to like an Alchemized midnight release party. If you want to see that episode, you know where to go. We'll have it linked as well. Originally in that episode, I gave this infinite stars, S tier, no notes. Never talk to me about it again. But I will say I've taken it down to a 5 stars, which is still technically a perfect rating, but it's just not an unattainable reading. So the reason what I wrote was, if I'm being honest, while I like where some of the harsher edges of this book were smoothed for publication, I didn't have the same emotional reaction to it. But that could also be because it was my second read through and essentially the plot remains mostly unchanged. So if I'm honest, I didn't really like or understand Helena's character. She feels like a victim even before the war, kind of like a doormat, and maybe that's the point. So that being said, though, I do love this story overall. I love the craftsmanship and how it's told and the way that it's structured for the biggest emotional impact. It's not for everyone. It is definitely the Nesta Archeron of the current popular books, or at least the books that are popular on my algorithms. And for that, I love it endlessly. I see you, girl.
I hadn't really thought about that as reading it the second time and not having the same like emotional damage the first book as Manacled did. But just thinking about it now, I think that does explain a lot of the parts that I didn't like about it. There was a lot of shock value in Manacled, whereas Alchemize did leave you sort of filling in the blanks in a lot of ways. It's interesting that you would point out not feeling connected with Helena. I was able to see her as a totally fresh character, and I also didn't connect with her, but in the way that by the end of the book, I almost saw her as a villain in some ways. And so that in that way, there's a lot of damage done to the reader when they realize that a character that they've loved and held so tightly might have done something deeply wrong, or maybe
Such
not.
a complex book overall, though. Definitely.
Right. Oh,
would
I loved
recommend.
it. Yeah,
Yeah.
big recommend.
For November, I wrote that I was finishing up Heat of the Everflame and starting Wuthering Heights.
Yes, and I'm really enjoying it so far.
Yes.
It's a
I
high
only-
cost of admission, though. It's a really high
Yeah.
cost of admission.
Yes. So I don't really have notes on Wuthering Heights right now because we're in the midst of reading it. It is the language, it was written a long time ago, so the language is very dense. It's hard to understand in places because it's just not language that we use day to day anymore. But the story's coming along, and all I can say is the twisted web we weave, you know?
Right. What vain weathercocks we are.
Right. Yes.
There's another
I
one.
mean, talk about generational trauma, it seems like. We're only halfway through the book. I'm kind of chomping at the bit because we're planning actually on filming a deep dive of Wuthering Heights. We're going to break it up into two sections. So we've stopped at about the 50% mark, and probably in the next week or two, we're going to get on and record those chapters, and then we'll be set free to finish the book as fast as we want to. So
Yeah.
keep your eye out for that if you're interested. We're hoping to break it down in a way that's really accessible and easy to understand. There's also a movie coming out next year, 2026. So we'll probably do like some sort of little watch party for that as well, I would imagine. And yeah, overall, I'm really liking it. I can't wait to get back to it. I kind of went into this one blind. I know it's a classic, and so it's a story that's been told over and over 1,000 times. But I prefer to be a little bit blind when I go into
Me too.
books.
Yeah.
But I have looked up like a character because I was like, wait a minute. I was having a hard time like placing who everyone was in like the first few chapters. So I have looked up like a couple like character analyses, and then it has like how they're related to each other. So I
Right.
kind of have an inkling about how the story is going to end, and but we'll get
Yeah.
into that when
I
we.
do and I don't because I feel like I have no idea what, like halfway through the sentence, which I have to say, talking about generational trauma, I feel like our current generation would consider every single sentence in this book a run-on sentence. And so it's just the longest sentence. And so by the end of the sentence, I actually forget which character we're talking about. And so I needed the map just to figure out, right, because he's Edgar Linton. And so when they say Edgar Linton, all these people are the same person. And so, yeah, that's kind of what I had to look up as well.
Yeah. But I'm really excited to talk to you about that one some more. That's going to be really fun. And then that takes us to December, the month that we're in right now. So we're currently reading Wuthering Heights, waiting to finish that. I actually just finished the first Hunger Games book this morning.
Yes.
I think was it our
That's so
TBR or was it
exciting.
our. I know.
Like the teenager in me is like so exciting. Actually, I think I think that book came out in 2008. So I was like 20 something and I loved those books. It was so much fun. I went through them so quick. They came out every single year, 2008, 2009, 2010, I think.
That would be so fun. I'm devastated that I missed those like hype years. Those were like the
That's
years
okay.
I think directly after high school for me, so I was not like reading that much at that point in my
Right.
life, I don't think.
Yeah.
But I think I talked about it in our mid-year crash out. It was either a mid-year crash out or our 2025 TBR, where I talked about potentially reading Sunrise on the Reaping.
Yes.
And I had mentioned that I had never read the original trilogy, but I do watch the movies almost once a year. I've seen them so many times. I'm a huge Hunger Games fan. So yeah, it was really cool to finish that this morning. I'm glad Peter got to keep his leg in like the cinematic universe. I mean,
Right.
that is a spoiler, but this series has been out for over 10 years. So I think
Right. I'd love to hear your comparison sometime between the book and the movie. That would be a really fun thing to just talk about, just the differences between the way they're portrayed on screen and in the books. I feel like
yeah.
I could rant about forever about that.
Oh my gosh, yeah, it's so interesting. And it is, I've also heard other creators talk about how difficult it must have been to portray Katniss because there's so much of Katniss's character that is just in her head and it's unspoken, and we're just seeing the entire world and story play out through her eyes. But her as a character, she's not very expressive.
Yeah, and I feel like in the books you fall in love with her so easily, and in the movies she comes off kind of hard.
Right. Yeah. But overall, loved it, obviously. Like, it's the Hunger Games. S
Yeah.
tier forever.
Yeah, it's excellent.
I also started Bride this month, and this
Right,
is my
yeah.
first Ali Hazelwood book, and I am loving it. It is like a treat, especially. So I think there's so many things that I want to say about this book. I'm only halfway through it, but I'm having such a good time. I'm pretty sure that Bride is her first venture into like the magical world, what I want to say, the fantasy world, where
Yeah.
as most of her work is contemporary romance. Is that
Right.
correct?
Yeah, that's correct. I think so. I don't know if it's her first, but that is what
Okay.
she's mainly in contemporary romance.
Okay. But so I'm really loving it. I'm loving the kind of like bubblegum pop, like easy read, but also these kind of elements of, we've got a vampire, we've got a werewolf, and this kind of mystery that's also happening. There's like very, very cute characters. There's like a little sister involved who is just like
Right.
sparkly and unicorn ears and pink tutus and mispronouncing words, and is just like the most lovely little creature ever. I'm having such a good time, especially I think after like getting through the first half of Wuthering Heights and then picking up Bride and it's like, wow, we got cell phones and vampire. Like, I don't know, it's
Right.
just so fun.
Right. And she packs so much detail into every sentence, whereas I feel like you can get through 3 chapters of Wuthering Heights and you're like, okay, they've left the room. They've
Right.
left the room, you know?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, I'm having a great time. And I'm really excited to also read Mate. I don't want to give it a rating yet because I haven't finished the book, but I was actually telling Sarah this yesterday. We got to hang out yesterday. I feel like so spoiled right now with like
I
girl
know.
time, you know? But I was telling Sarah yesterday that I thought a really great cosplay idea for us could possibly be Misery Lark, with
Yes.
Sarah being Misery, and then maybe I could be Serena. So
Yes.
let us know if you think that would be a cute idea, and maybe we can try to make it work for like next Halloween or something. I don't know.
Yeah. I'll have to read it again before then so I can capture everything again.
Yeah, I don't know, just an idea. I think that wraps us up for December.
Yeah, that wraps us up for December. That is all the books that we completed this year.
Yeah, I'm proud of us. Let's do a little pat on the back. I ended up averaging about like a book a month, which I think is really good for me, especially after somebody who like took years really off of reading. So I'm pretty
Right.
happy.
Yeah. Yeah. So I put in our entire year's worth of books that we've gone through into ChatGPT, and they gave us a little breakdown of the wrapped year for us and what it looked like for all our books. And so it said that we read at least 11 books and that broke down to about 500 pages per book. Some of them were shorter than others, and then some of them were Kingdom of Ash. And it averaged that we read 5,400 pages at least, each one of us. It says that it breaks it down to about 5 full days of nonstop reading. It also gave me some notes on the amount of time that we spent on the podcast this year. It said that estimated per book was 2 to 3 hours of recording, with 3 to 5 hours of preps, notes, spiraling, and texting each other theories. So total podcast hours were between 80 and 100 hours.
It's like a little bit more than like 2 full weeks of work.
And it said that conservatively, the average speaking rate was 130 words per minute, and that we, on average, spoke 195,000 words about books this year,
Wow.
which is
And that's
longer
just
than,
what they know about.
yeah, and that's longer than The Great Gatsby. That's pretty much just everything that was recorded.
Wow.
And let's see, it gave some emotional metrics as well. It said villains defended were way too many.
I mean, direct shots. Wow.
I know, I told it to be a little bit cheeky, so morally gray men excused. It just says yes. I fear this book changed me moments were at least 6 times the ending personally attacked us. It gave us each multiple books where we're still thinking about them. It said pretty much all of them. So it gave us a little basically bookish superlatives section. So the book that was most likely to ruin our sleep, it said Kingdom of Ash. The book with the most unsettling vibes was We Used to Live Here. The book with the biggest wait, what moment was Alchemized. The romance that snuck up on both of us was People We Meet on Vacation. And The World We'd Visit But Not Survive for me was A Cautious Traveler's Guide to the Wasteland. And so that's our chat
Yeah.
GPT wrapped. I also started 3 books that I didn't finish this year. And so I won't give them a rating, but I'll just give you a little synopsis of the books so we can talk about them because I know you've read one of them. The first book that I read was Neon Gods by Katie Roberts. I'm a little bit more than halfway through this book. It's a spicy modern Hades and Persephone retelling where Persephone is a socialite. She flees from a forced engagement to the powerful Zeus and escapes to the forbidden Undercity, making a dangerous bargain with the shadowy Hades for protection, leading to a passionate, power-fueled romance as they navigate Olympus's dark political landscape and seek revenge. And I think you'd really love this book. It's really fun.
Yeah, it sounds right up my alley, actually.
Yeah, I love an ancient tale retelling or any story retelling. And so this one I'm enjoying. The second book that I started but did not finish was Crescent City, Book One, House of Earth and Blood. And this follows Bryce Quinlan, a half human, half fae party girl in a magical city whose life has been upended. And she navigates powerful supernatural factions with dark secrets. I filmed myself reading chapter 5 of this book and it was devastating. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but something terrible happens. And I finished recording, turned the page, and realized that a character that I didn't realize was gone. And so I had this moment after I stopped filming and I was very sad that my favorite character was gone. I didn't realize it when I was filming. I was like, oh, he's probably fine. He just wasn't there. And so then I realized that he was. So
And I told you to put your camera on and let me see that emotional trauma.
yeah, and it was terrible. Like in the video, I'm like sweating.
Oh no. Oh my gosh. Okay, so can you, without spoilers, tell me where you're at in the book? Because we haven't talked about this book, and I want to talk about it with you.
Yes. Yeah, we're following right now. I'm following Hunt, and he's met Bryce and is watching her as she's been hired by the queen lady. There's like a
Jessica?
witch, Jessica.
Jessica
Yeah.
Roga.
Yeah, and Bryce has been hired to help solve the murders that are going on throughout the city. No
Oh,
spoilers. The last thing that I saw was he was outside of her bedroom, like looking through the window, and she like closed the curtains, and he like showed up in her house, and they're just like bickering, and it's pretty fun.
yeah. What do you think of it so far?
Yeah, I really like Bryce. I think she's really understandable as a character, and I like this is the most modern book that I've had from Sarah J. Maas, and so I just love the way that she's colored the world. We've talked about this, but you can tell the world is just like this neon bright city. It's wet, it's lively, it feels like it's always nighttime. And it's
Yeah.
just it's a really fun book, and I
Yeah.
love the magical system.
Do you like the urban fantasy setting of it, or do you prefer like a more traditional fantasy setting?
I wasn't sure it was going to fit, but I'm really liking it. And I think that it makes it more intriguing for me.
Right. Yeah. So Bride is also that kind of urban fantasy where
Yeah.
we have like magic kind of, and then also, or magical creatures, I guess, and
Right.
then also like technology and guns and computers. It's kind of,
Yeah.
it's a little jarring at first, but then it's kind of cool because it's almost like if the world that we lived in today also had elements of magic, you know?
Right. It's like some people have ears, some people will drain you of blood, things like that.
Yeah. Yes. And obviously, Crescent City is part of a Massiverse, so it is required reading before ACOTAR 6 comes out if you don't want to be pretty confused. Finish the Crescent City series. I think that was my second series from Sarah J. Maas. I think I did ACOTAR and then Crescent City and then swooped back to Throne of Glass. And there is a crossover that happens at the end of Crescent City 3 that seems like it's going to be very important that you've read at least both of those two series.
Yeah, I'm excited for that. I can't wait. Just because
I
I
know.
know Sarah's crossovers are all of a sudden you're just reading, oh, it's just like this really exciting moment where you
Yeah.
caught on to something.
Oh my
And the
gosh, yeah.
last
And you're gonna have to turn on your camera again when you actually do get to Crescent City 3 and you read that like last line. Do not look ahead.
I actually forgot I was reading this, and now I'm getting really excited and want to continue reading Crescent City. I
You're
was
like, oh
thinking, what
yeah.
am I reading right now? The third book that I didn't finish this year is a book that is, I think, on both of our TBRs. It is Divine Rivals by Rebecca Ross. Divine Rivals follows rival journalists Iris Winnow and Roman Kitt, who are competing for a columnist spot at their newspaper amidst a burgeoning war between gods. Iris writes letters to her missing brother and sends them through a magical wardrobe, only to find they're being answered by Roman, leading to a secret enchanting correspondence that deepens their connection. And this is all with a touch of magical fantasy. I think I've honestly only listened to this for like 15 minutes, probably like a couple chapters in. And so I'm not very far at all.
Okay.
But I've heard
Yeah,
good
that's
things.
definitely one I'm interested in too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's been such a fun year of reading. We're so happy to be sharing our thoughts with you.
Thank you so much for everybody who subscribed to our channel or taken an interest in the things that we have to say. Your support means the world to us.
And thanks for spending a part of your day with us, especially if you made it all the way to the end of this episode. If you did make it all the way to the end, leave us some sort of holiday themed comment or emoji to tell us that you made it.
Yes, and also happy holidays if we haven't told you yet. We hope that you guys are having a great holiday season.
And a happy new
And
year.
Happy New Year. And don't forget, if there is a book or series that we mentioned in this episode and we have a more in depth discussion of it, we will link it in the show notes so you can have a little binge if you want to.
All right. And until next time, happy reading.